Bumgarner is back. A little less than 3 months after his dirt bike disaster put him on the DL, the Giants' ace returns. It will be an emotional lift for a team that has struggled in his absence. And tonight, the 2014 World Series MVP will try and pitch the Giants to their second straight win. Bumgarner up against the Padres next. It is beautiful here in downtown San Diego at Petco Park. A twilight start. The Giants and the Padres. Welcome to NBC Sports Bay Area, powered by Xfinity. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with my crew code. Dave Fleming will be along in the middle innings. Dwayne Kuiper is on assignment. He'll be back in the booth Monday in San Francisco. And, of course, tonight, it's all about Madison Bumgarner. He's back 3 months after the injury put him on the shelf. And for Bumgarner tonight, I think everybody's excited to see him, his teammates, the fans, the broadcasters. But Bumgarner himself, I think, is anxious to get back out there, too.
Well, a lot of questions that have to be answered. And if you'd have told me we're here July 15th and Madison Bumgarner still does not have a victory in his win column, I'd have bet my house against it. But yet, that's the record he has, going 0-3 coming into tonight's game. He gets back on the horse. The Giants have their giant back. The attitude in that clubhouse has been... It's been a little bit electric, as you can imagine. But Madison Bumgarner will have to justify that he can still do what he did before the injury, not just to the Bay Area, but to the entire baseball world. This is a big start for him, and it's a big start for the Giants.
All right, so he's up against Yolis Chacin, a Giants nemesis, and we are moments away from getting started. Stay tuned. We'll be taking you to our NBC Sports Bay Area studios for an update right after these words. And then Giants Padres coming up.
Baseball on NBC Sports Bay Area is brought to you by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places. By State Farm. Protect the things you've worked really hard for with auto and renter's insurance. Talk to an agent today. And by the 2017 Jeep Cherokee with an EPA estimated 30 highway miles per gallon.
Beautiful late afternoon for a ball game. Giants and Padres on the other side of the tracks at Petco Park. Now the game time weather presented by Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is open daily. The temperature 76 degrees. The winds calm, soothing. Humidity, it's rather humid, 74%. The forecast clear and otherwise practically perfect in every way. Let's take a look now at the Giants batting order brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Denard Span leads off center field. Eduardo Nunez, third base. Brandon Belt at first. Buster Posey hit a mammoth home run last night, the catcher. Brandon Crawford at short. Hunter Pence, right field, hitting sixth. Joe Panic at second base. Gorkis Hernandez, a 4-hit game last night. Left field, and Madison Bumgarner back in there for the first time in just about 3 months, batting ninth.
On the hill tonight for the Padres will be the veteran Jhoulys Chacín. This is what he has done in 18 starts. He really has been a very good pitcher for these Padres. 8-7 with a 4.32 ERA. And for Chacín, 88 strikeouts, 102 innings, and this is what he is going to come at you with. He believes in the fastball. It's going to go low to mid-90s. He could put sink and cut on it. He's got a big curveball, slider, changeup. He'll throw them all. If he gets one working, he can ride a changeup or a curveball. But basically, he likes that slider. And he can be very, very tough. When he's right, if that sinker's working, he'll throw a lot of ground balls as well.
Chacín from Maracaibo, Venezuela, 29 years old. And he has been very tough on the Giants. He's 2-0 against the Giants this year. Span leads off. A called strike. We are underway at 5:41 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Span had one hit last night, but it was the hit that put the Giants ahead. The lead they never gave up. A single, 2-out single in the sixth. Now it's a ball and a strike. Jim Reynolds is the home plate umpire. There's Madison Bumgarner looking on from the dugout. He's all warmed up. He got a big ovation from all the Giants fans who were here when he left the dugout to head out to the center field bullpen to warm up. Span caught by Asuaje, one away.
Let's take a look at the Padres defensively behind Chacín. Starting in their outfield from left to right, it'll be Caesar, Margot, and Blash. The best arm is Blash in right field. Ibar and Pirela, that's on the left side of the infield. Asuaje and Myers on the right side. Austin Hedges, he'll be in the squad, putting down the signs. And I beg your pardon, Hector Sanchez will be in the squad, putting down the signs.
Hedges was in the original lineup for the Padres today, but then just as a precautionary measure, they decided to scratch him. Remember, he got hit with a foul ball right, if you were going to call the mask by the position on the head, right to the forehead of the mask last night. It really kind of dazed him for a few moments. He did stay in the ball game, but they just want to give him a little more rest now after that. And the foul ball by Nunez. Quickly, the count is 2 strikes. Chacín has almost always pitched well against the Giants. He beat Bumgarner here April the 8th. The second Padres home game of the year with 6 2/3 shutout innings. Padres won that game 2-1 over Bumgarner, who pitched a complete game and lost it. It's a little bit low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He also beat the Giants at AT&T Park April 29th. In that game, he went only 5 innings, gave up 3 runs, 5 hits, but the Padres were able to put some runs on the board and win that ball game 12-4. So it's 2-2 now.
Jim Rill's strike zone very similar to the one we saw last night with Bill Wilkie. He'll call lows, he'll call some highs. You don't get big corners.
And that hard slider you were talking about, Mike, in the dirt outside. And Sanchez anticipating maybe the first base umpire would say he swung at it, just went ahead and tagged him. But no swing, and the count is full, 3-2. Brandon Belt is on deck. Look out. And that is ball 4. Another appeal by Sanchez, but it's a walk for Nunez.
All right, right now it's time for our Nissan keys to the game. And number 1, bum be bum. That's right. 3 months. We've had to wait a long time since the last start of Madison Bumgarner. And we just like to see him throw with no pain and just do what he normally does. Oh, but hit a couple home runs, by the way. Number 2, take what's given. And with Jhoulys Chacín, that's what you have to do. You can't be stubborn. He's going to mix speeds, he's going to mix movements, and he's going to try and paint you on both sides of the plate. You have to be patient with him. Those are our Nissan keys to the game.
And that would be perhaps the advice that Brandon Belt's trying to follow tonight, because he has not done well against Chacín in the past. Only 4 hits in 24 career at-bats. Now you've got a guy who can steal a base. Nunez aboard. They've already made the 1 throw over there. He has 17 steals in 20 tries this year. They've got the overshift on for Belt. 3 infielders to the right of second. And you see it over in the dark shadows being cast by one of the light standards is Pirela at third base. So there's really nobody at shortstop at the moment. Belt hitting .245. The club leader with 16 home runs. Back to the screen. 1 ball and 1 strike. Myers plays on the bag at first with the runner Nunez, and Alguacil, the first base coach, is over whispering to Nunez, giving him some info. A ball and a strike, 1 out, 1 on. Just getting started. And Nunez dives safely back to the bat. Chacín is a veteran, and he's been around a while. He broke into the big leagues back in 2009 with Colorado. Most of his career with the Rockies through 2014. The last couple of years with Arizona, and then he got traded to the Angels late last year. There's the bunt, third base side, but it goes foul. The third baseman had vacated and gone over to shortstop. So Belt decided to bunt it, but he bunted it foul.
Well, I mean, he's still learning the technique, and I don't think he has to be that deceptive. And when you show a little too late, oftentimes you don't get into a balanced position quickly. The way they've set the defense up, and with a right-handed pitcher, Chacín, he's falling off towards the first base side. So you can just lay down a normal bunt. There's nobody there. He doesn't have to approach it like he's drag bunting. So I mean, it's still a work in progress, but you know, it is a situation. It's the good time for it.
Buster Posey on deck. 1-2 the count. And the throw gets away, but backing it up is Asuaje, the second baseman. And Nunez went in. Oddly, he went back to the bag standing up.
Well, if Myers catches the ball, Nunez is out. I mean, Chacín has a very good move. It's one of the better moves in this division for a right-handed pitcher.
Back to the screen. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It was just odd the way he went back. I wasn't quite sure what was going on with him. There's Buster. Buster's one of the few Giants who's had pretty good success in the past against Chacín. The outfield is playing Belt to swing late. They're swung over toward the left field line in the outfield. And that got him looking. Curveball struck him out, 78 miles an hour.
All right, timeout for our Jeep drive. Last night, Buster Posey off of Ryan Buchter in the top of the 7th inning gets a fastball over the plate. And is soon as it left the bat, Booker knew it. Took on center field, knocked over 3 walls. That's our Jeep drive of the game. That was home run number 11 for Posey.
StatCast had it at 422, which we thought shorted him. The hit tracker online, I checked that this morning, 435. So they agreed with us.
Yeah, 435 sounds about right.
And truly, as far over that wall as it went, and as high up as it was, I think 435 sounds more like it.
I don't think he could hit the ball any harder than he did last night. You see the numbers lifetime against Chassin, 309. He hits him well.
He's one of 3 current Giants to have hit a home run in the past against Chassin. And that is called a strike.
Let's take a look at the breaking ball that was the strike 3 pitch to Belt. Just wrap it around the outside corner. It's a pitch he saw, defined early. It was going to be out of the strike zone, then it just kept working its way back in the zone. Can't give up too early. Chassin can paint the corners.
Strike 2 call. Buster Posey hitting .326. Last night he had 2 hits, 2 batted in 4 at bats. He also had a walk, so he reached base 3 times in 5 plate appearances. Nunez at first, 2 down, and he's back to the bag. One and 2 to Buster Posey. I always thought this would be a good time to go. You got 2 strikes on the hitter. Even if he gets thrown out, well, you got your best hitter leads off the next inning.
The only problem is if he steals it, they may walk Posey, and you may lose him if it's a ball.
Buster pops it up foul. Although I think a lot of pitchers have a hard time thinking that they can't get the guy when they're ahead of him on the count with 2 strikes.
Yeah, but I mean, he's got hit 300 lifetime against Chassin. He's got a home run, and they know Posey had a couple of good at bats last night. Hit the ball at the dead center. I think that's the thing about a cleanup guy. You should be in scoring position with your cleanup hitter if you're at first base. He should have the ability to hit a home run, even in a 2-strike, 2-out count.
Right through the legs and into center field. Right back at Chassin. He could not get to it. Went right under his glove and right through the legs.
That is the weirdest feeling. I mean, you can't put it through the wickets any better than this. Whoop! And you can't figure out how you don't make that play.
He actually stood there and brought the glove up near his eyes as if to say, "What? Is there a hole in it? What was it? How could that glove miss that ball?"
I mean, you can stand there with a and hit 100 fungos and not be able to do that. One more look. Right, yep. It is a weird feeling.
So here is Brandon Crawford. The Giants got a break. The inning is still going. He's the Giants' RBI leader. There's ball 1 to Crawford. .225 batting average. Only a .266 on base percentage. Crawford had a double in 4 at bats last night, but scored a run. And he's held his own against Chassin in the past. 3 doubles, a triple. The spin towards second, he bluffed the throw. Nobody was covering, but Nunez scurried back. Shortstop Ibar playing Crawford to pull well over toward the middle, as you see right there. The outfield toward the left field line.
Well, great speed with Nunez, and he's going to get a 2-out jump. Best arms are in center and right field.
The Giants with the 2-out threat here. Crawford trying to deliver. And that curve is low at 74 miles an hour.
And he's going to nibble. He's got a base to play with here with 2 outs.
The right-handed hitting, Hunter Pence on deck.
I mean, that's a feeling you get if you're out there and you know a guy in the batter's box got you timed. You can tell by his back leg if he's on you.
Pick off to second. That was Ibar taking the throw.
And if you do sense that as a pitcher and you've got an open base, you just kind of nibble. Plus Chacín, I mean, he knows Crawford. Crawford knows him, so they've got history. You know how well a guy hits you or sees you.
Crawford has more actual at-bats in his career against Chacín than any other Giant. In the dirt, smothered by Hector Sanchez. Now it's 3-0. There is Pence awaiting his turn on deck. 3-0 to Crawford.
And they will turn him loose. He's one of the better 3-0 hitters they have.
2 on, 2 out. In the dirt. What do you think? Was he pitching around him?
He wanted no part of him.
It's 2 walks in the inning. The bases are loaded for Hunter Pence. And the pitching coach, Darren Balsley, out to the mound to chat with Chacín, who's had a stressful inning. He's thrown 23 pitches already in this inning. And one of the 3 current Giants to have hit a home run in the past against him is the man coming up right now, Hunter Pence. Although he's had the home run, but not much else.
Well, in 25 at bats, he's also struck out 9 times, and that's another thing that Chacín knows. And I think the only reason Balsley goes out there is just to give him a breather.
So here is Pence, who last night was 0 for 4 with a walk. His walk, though, started the rally in the 6th inning that brought the Giants from behind into the lead that they never gave up. There is Nunez at third, Posey at second, and Crawford over at first. All 3 ready to go at the crack of the bat with 2 down. And it's 0-1 to Pence.
Nice little backdoor sinker.
Pence with, oh, sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Well, Pence is a different guy now than when the Padres saw him earlier. I mean, he's hitting that outside pitch better. If they stay on one side of the plate of him, they're going to do him a favor. He'll hurt him.
Sanchez moves outside. And that is a base hit left center field. Nunez in. Here comes Buster. And he will score as the throw goes to second. Crawford to third. A 2-run single by Pence. 2-0 Giants.
Just a lazy slider on the outer half of the plate. And early in the year, there was a time when Hunter Pence would be pulling off that location. But that's not the case anymore. They set the outside target. This thing floats. I mean, that's off the plate about 4 inches. And he still has coverage of it. And that's a big 2-out RBI. Those are the ones that really take the wind out of your sails if you're on the mound.
36th and 37th RBIs of the year for Hunter Pence. And now here's Panic to try and do some more damage. Panic, 277 average. 2 on, 2 out. And that floats in there for a called strike.
First pitch changeup. Chacín can do that. I mean, he's got 4 different pitches, and he'll throw any time. For Joe Panic, you're not up there looking for a changeup first pitch.
Panic with a 277 average, 5 home runs, 337 on base percentage. And Pence is back to the bag.
But that's the point we talked about early in the game about with Chacín. You have to take what he gives you. You can't go up there looking for a brain dead fastball in the middle in knee-high part of the plate. He's just not going to give that to you. He's going to move it around. He's going to take off speed. He's going to add speed. He's going to change movement.
Chase the high fastball. 0-2. Hector Sanchez out in front of the plate, signaling to the infielders in the Padres. What's he signaling with an 0-2 count?
Who's going to cover? Where he's going to throw the ball down if somebody should steal?
Myers on the bag at first with Hunter Pence, opening that hole a little bit on the right side, although Asuaje is pulled over into the hole a little bit. The second baseman smothered in the dirt by Sanchez. That makes it 1 ball, 2 strikes, and that was the 28th pitch thrown in this inning by Chacín.
That's a good 0-2 curveball. It's a lot of strikeouts from lefties. He's trying to hit home plate with it.
Giants fans get a "Let's Go Giants" cheer going here at Petco Park. He's staying with that curveball. He missed again. 2-2.
Well, it also sets up a fastball up across the letters too. And that's the beautiful thing about his changeup and curveball. If they're off-speed pitches, you throw a couple of them, and you can slow the eye down in the hitter. Now you heat him up with a fastball up above the zone. It's a good pitch for him.
Ooh, pops it foul and out of play. You saw those Giants fans out there, and you are now personal friends with every one of them.
Well, yeah, we had a Giants vacation lunch today. Rob Nin came down, and George Contos, Corey Guerin, had a lot of fun.
2-2 the count. There goes Pence from first, and another foul. That was a 94-mile-an-hour fastball from Chacin, his 31st pitch of the inning. Pence has to go back to first.
Now, if Panic gets a base hit here, you may see him start to get activity going in that bullpen.
2 runs are in so far on Pence's 2-out single. Gorkys Hernandez on deck. You've got Crawford at third, Pence at first. Pence was running on that previous pitch. The outfield pushed toward the left field line. Pence does not run. And a little bloop along the left field line, and foul. Pirela from third and Caesar from left gave chase. Neither could get to it. Wasn't hit very high in the air. Pence really took off on that pop up. He was almost to third base when the ball dropped in foul ground, so he cuts back across the infield. I'm thinking he's a big Hunter Pence fan, Mike.
How can you tell?
I just got a feel for it. And he's getting the shot too. He's getting the close-up. I'm guessing maybe of Hunter Pence. That dive back, I think he got the close-up.
I think he did.
2-2 the count. Panic in a battle here with Jhoulys Chacin. Takes it too high. Full count. And what a laborious inning it is for Chacin. There is Gorkys Hernandez on deck.
Now these are the type of first innings that really can age a pitching coach. Pitch count's so important these days. And you just know already in the first inning with 2 outs that it's going to be an early bullpen game.
There goes Pence. That got by Chacin, but Ibar inning over. So the Giants get the 2 on an endless inning, it seemed like, for Chacin. Here comes Madison Bumgarner heading to the mound for his return from the disabled list. Run lead with which to work as he heads to the mound. And here's the lineup he'll be facing. Padre lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Manuel Margot leads off in center field, and he's done well against the Giants. Carlos Asuaje, second base. Will Myers at first. Jose Pirela, third base. The cleanup hitter. Jabari Blash, right field. Eric Ibar at short. Hector Sanchez, the former Giant, the catcher. Matt Caesar, the former Cub, left field. And Yolis Chacin, the pitcher, batting ninth.
Well, on the hill tonight and pitching for the Giants, and it feels so good to say, making start number 5 and still looking for his first win, Madison Bumgarner, 6'5", 250-pound, 27-year-old left-hander. Last made a start April 19th, and this is how he goes about his business. From a low 3/4 release, you're going to see a fastball with natural cut, and the fastball will average right around 90. The cutter, fastball, you're going to see a lot of them, and he will two-seam a fastball occasionally. He's got a curveball and a changeup to go with that. Lifetime against these Padres, 10-8 with a 3.36 ERA.
So Bumgarner, who pitched here April the 8th, and Manuel Margot tormented him. He doubled leading off in the first and scored a run, and doubled home a run in the second. And those were the only 2 runs Bumgarner allowed in that game, and he lost it 2-1. So his first pitch is striking. These Giants fans who are here are just totally into it. A ball and a strike now.
Well, he passed the first test. I mean, that's 90-mile-an-hour fastball. And it's pretty common to see Bumgarner start the inning or a game off in that first inning right around 90, and then build his fastball velocity-wise as he goes.
2-1.
Giants would like to see him throw between 80 and 100 pitches today. I mean, he thinks my goal is to give him 7 innings like it always is.
That is foul. Hit very hard and foul down the left field line.
Easy.
Oh. Two and 2. Ooh, that was close, and Bumgarner thought he had it.
Well, big curveball in the first one he's thrown. He saved it for a little 2-strike surprise. And he definitely wanted it. It was great to see that pitch one more time if we could, just to see how Buster Posey moves his body. Frames not only with his hands, but with his body.
And a foul. Still 3 and 2.
Buster Posey has such a great reputation as being a framer. And he does a lot of things back behind the plate. With not just his hands, but with his chest and the way that he presents the pitch to an umpire.
Broken bat. The bat just shattered, and the ball itself rolled over toward the on-deck circle.
Let's take a look at that curveball, but watch Posey, the way that he slides his body into the strike zone and then holds that ball. I mean, that's a frame that a lot of umpires are going to go with. Did it go across the plate? Well, I don't know, but it sure looked like it, just the way that he caught it.
Well, I bought it.
And remember, Reynolds doesn't have big corners.
Margot with a new bat. 3 and 2 the count. And that is down the left field line, foul. Into the second deck, very much foul. Soaring fly ball. 100 feet foul or so. He's battling it out here with Bumgarner. And he gave Bumgarner a tough time of it, as we said, back on April the 8th in this ballpark. 9th pitch of the battle. Did he swing? An appeal? Yes! He is out. Tom Woodring, the first base umpire on appeal, said that was a swing.
That's a break.
Bumgarner with a strikeout to start his return to the big league.
And on the 9th pitch, too. So from the side. Oh, yeah, you can definitely see what Tom Woodring, the first base umpire, saw. He swung.
1 out, nobody on. Swate. And it's called strike 1.
Pitch count is very important today, and the one thing that David Getty would like to avoid is long innings of 20+ pitches or more.
That is foul. Right past Johnny Washington, the first base coach.
Let's take a look at the defense behind Bumgarner tonight for the Giants, starting in the outfield from left to right. Hernandez with 4 hits last night. He'll be in left field, joined by Span and Pence. That's your outfield. Crawford, Nunez on the left side of the infield. Panic and Belt on the right side. Buster Posey, he'll be in the squad, putting down the signs.
Taken by the rookie, Aswahe, who's only 5 feet 9 inches tall.
That's with his spikes on, standing on cement, though.
From up here, it looks like he's about 5'1". He's been a hot hitter. 2-2.
Yeah, he's been impressive. I like the way he takes his at bats. I mean, he's got a little torque that he can throw that bat head out there and get some pretty good speed on you. And if he finds a gap, I mean, don't assume he's going to stop for a double. He's got speed to get to third base.
He's hitting .298 in 18 games played in the big leagues. That foul goes back out of play. He gave Cueto a tough time last night. He walked his first time, doubled his next time, but he never reached base again. The Giants contained him after that. Carlos Aswahe, 25 years old, from Venezuela. He's hanging tough. 2-2. Bumgarner and the Giants with a 2-0 lead. Madison Bumgarner made 4 starts before the accident in Colorado. The last of them was made in Kansas City. That is in there. Strike 3 called, and Aswahe knew it.
Pinpoint location, 90-mile-an-hour cut fastball. Watch the frame job for Posey as he sticks it. That time they get the corner call.
So 2 batters, 2 strikeouts. Although both of those hitters gave him a workout. He's thrown 16 pitches to those 2 hitters. And here is Will Myers. Popped up. Buster does not know where it is, but here comes Bumgarner. And he cannot hit it.
Well, that would have been a gift, a 1-pitch out. Right now, there's sun splashed on the field. There are some shadows, and if you're a catcher, you take that mask out, you're not going to see a lot of baseballs very clearly because of the sunshine, because of the gray sky. And Posey never saw it. He thought it was back in the stands.
And I think ordinarily the pitcher's the one who directs traffic. 1-1 the count. But Bumgarner sort of belatedly thought, well, I better catch this ball. Nobody else is calling for it.
And it's a play you never practice as a pitcher. I mean, they don't want pitchers calling players out to catch balls. And then that's what happens to you. You're a pitcher. You're going down there. Should I take this? Should I get out of the way? I mean, is it mine? Do I do this?
It did look like at the last moment that Nunez could have caught it, but he didn't want to crash into Madison Bumgarner, who'd be like crashing into a mountain.
Flying a windshield.
Exactly. Ooh, strike 3 called. Bumgarner in his return strikes out the side. And a big ovation from these Giants fans here in San Diego.
Shut down in.
American League champion Cleveland Indians, and there are dynamic deals going on during the homestand. Monday and Tuesday night with Cleveland, tickets start at just $7. The Padres come in Thursday, and tickets will be as low as $10 for that. sfgiants.com/dynamic deal for tickets. Check it out. So here is Gorkis Hernandez, 2-0 Giants, and that is in for a called strike.
Chassin's using that two-seam little backdoor sinker to open up a lot of at bats, taking out that outside corner. It's a good pitch.
He bunts at it, and got a hard breaking ball, and he missed it. Strike two. Gorkis had the first 4-hit game of his major league career here last night. I saw him at the hotel this morning, met his wife, and he's got 3 young children. Beautiful family. Takes that one off the outside. Madison Bumgarner is on deck. There's Bumgarner. He was taking some batting practice going back, what, more than 2 weeks ago. That ball is hit hard down the right field line, and there is Blash. Makes the thigh-high catch.
Another good at bat from Hernandez. That was a 2-strike count.
Scalded that one. Here comes Bumgarner to the plate. And as much as Giants fans like to see him pitch, they like seeing him hit. And I think sometimes they like that even more.
Well, he said he felt more comfortable hitting than he did throwing in his rehab. '16 lifetime homers.
2 of them that he hit opening day in Arizona, Chase Field, back on April the 2nd against the Arizona Diamondbacks. He hit one against Zach Greinke.
One thing we know about Bumgarner as a hitter, he'll guess. And he's pretty disciplined. If he says he's going to go up there and look for one pitch, one speed, one location, he'll do it the whole at bat. He'll make an adjustment with 2 strikes, but he's real disciplined.
Did he swing? The plate umpire made the call himself. Jim Reynolds says yes, that was a swing. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Dang, Jim, I don't think you got that one right.
Great how we can hear him all the way up here. And he kind of shows him a fastball out of the strike zone. 2-2. Bumgarner 2 hits in 7 at bats this year, both of them home runs on opening day. High pop up. Myers wants it. Number 2. Bumgarner. I don't know if Chassin was talking to him. I think they had a little conversation as Bumgarner was trotting back to the dugout right by Chassin.
He just said, hey, don't be afraid to throw me a fastball.
I'm just a pitcher, you know. Here's the leadoff man, Denard Span. Bumgarner out number 2. The Giants with a 2-0 lead.
Bumgarner's definitely a pitcher that if he says to another pitcher, you throw me a fastball, I'll throw you one, he'll do it. And he's done that.
At the knees for a strike to Span. And you think a pitcher ever says back to him, says, what, do you think I was born yesterday?
Well, I mean, I'd think about it if I knew I was going to get a fastball.
Well, Chassin might think about it because he's a pretty good hitter.
He's a real good hitter.
He's hitting .258 this year. And that curve is low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Span clobbered one his first time. A shot, but right to the second baseman for an out.
But those are the kind of things that do get negotiated. If you're pitching the 2nd or 3rd game of a series, you'll cross paths with the guy you're going to face. You'll make that. You'll lay it out there to see if he bites.
And he went down after that low off-speed pitch, fouled it.
I mean, you're not going to make that bet with Aroldis Chapman, who throws 105. You know, there are certain fastballs that you want to set up.
Well, Bumgarner, you know, I remember Chapman got so into it when he was with Cincinnati. Remember that? There's no swing there, says Bill Welke. Remember when he was still with Cincinnati? And he was expecting he was going to be traded anytime. And the Giants sent Bumgarner up to pinch hit against him at AT&T Park. And I never saw Chapman look more engaged in a hitter. I mean, he's a great competitor anyway. But that was a lot of fun. And I think he ultimately struck him out. But they had a great battle. 8 or 9 pitches. That is smoked down the right field line. Hanging breaking ball. And Span's got extra bases. And he will pull up at second as Blash plays the carom well in that right field corner. A double for Span. Span's hit the ball hard a couple of times now.
Now 2 strikes, 2 outs. Take a look at the breaking ball. It had a little hang to it right out over the middle of the plate. And Span jumped all over it. So he puts himself in scoring position with 2 outs here for Nunez.
So here is Eduardo, who walked his first time. That started the 2-run first inning rally. He ended up scoring the first run of the night for the Giants. Now he's trying to be an RBI man. Called strike 1, and he has been the Giants' best and one of the best in the league in his at-bats with runners in scoring position. Nunez has hit a cool 400 in spots like this with a runner at second or a runner at third or both, what we call scoring position.
See the different colored dirt out in front of home plate. That's the one area where you can, if you have a sinker baller out there, a guy that throws a lot of ground balls like Justine, you make it nice and soft out there in front of home plate.
Nasty. 0-2.
Yeah, he's just setting up with that swing. If you have a guy who's a fly ball strikeout guy, and you're facing a sinker baller, you can make that as hard as concrete.
So they don't even bother to disguise it.
No.
Just go out and flood the area in front of home plate. Got a sinker baller out there. That is a fair ball and dropped and no play. So Span is safe at third and Nunez at first. Pirela could not handle it. And that was going to be a real tough play even if he had come up with it cleanly from very deep third with a fast runner.
It's been ruled a single, as it should be. Just back to the backhand. Pirela knew he had to get set up quickly to get a throw off. And with Nunez's speed and not a big backswing from Nunez, he gets out of the box well. So, a 2-out rally going here.
Brandon Belt called out on strikes his first time. Span at third, Nunez at first. Strike 1. Giants ahead 2-0. Chacin had a 34-pitch first inning. And he's getting to work out again here in the second inning. This next pitch will be his 19th pitch of this inning. Check swing foul. And quickly it's 0-2 to Brandon Belt. Giants need a 2-out RBI hit here. And Nunez steps back onto the bag. Belt is hitting .265 for the year. The runners in scoring position, which there's nothing special about that. But it is more than 30 points above his season's batting average. And he watches that one fade low. 1-2.
You got to have a good eye and you got to have some guts to take that pitch 0-2. That didn't miss by much. We know he has a good eye. That's right there.
Some umpires would have called that a strike according to PitchCast.
And the way Hector Sanchez caught that, I think he took that strike away from Justin.
Dug out of the dirt.
This is that 0-2 pitch. Watch the way that Sanchez catches the ball. I mean, he takes it basically out of the strike zone, and I think that had everything to do with the pitch not getting called a strike.
2-2. And the fastball way out of the zone. And it's a full count with Buster Posey on deck. 22 more pitches so far thrown in this inning after a very laborious first inning. So now Will Myers has vacated first base. He'll play behind Nunez, who will be taking off. There he goes. And it's a walk to Bell. And the bases are loaded.
I'm looking down the Padres bullpen. I don't even know if there's anybody down there yet. I'm not seeing any bodies down there. You're talking about a pitcher who's about ready to throw his 58th pitch here with 2 outs in the second inning. A lot of times guys in the bullpen, you know, they'll come in a little bit later, but nobody down there.
Doug Bachler, former relief pitcher, is the bullpen coach for the Pods. And we're going to get some action going just as you suspected. That is Dinelson Lamet. Oh, and I beg your pardon, that is number 34, not number 64. So that's Craig Stammen, the veteran right-hander, not Lamet. Buster, a high drive at the wall. It is caught by Caesar. Not this time for Buster Posey. The Giants leave them loaded, leading 2-0.
NBC Sports Bay Area is brought to you by Amici's East Coast Pizzeria. When you want the best pizza in town, Amici's delivers.
Well, the Giants Insider Podcast is back on NBCSportsBayArea.com, brought to you by Max Muscle, and you can log on each week as Insider Alex Pavlovich talks baseball with players, coaches, special guests, and more. The Giants Insider Podcast with Alex Pavlovich on NBCSportsBayArea.com, also available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify.
Jose Pirela leads off the cleanup hitter against Bumgarner. A little bit too high. Ball one, Pirela, then Blash and Ibar coming up for the Pods. Pirela, not much Major League experience, but he is 27 years old, from Venezuela. And he eases that one in there for a called strike. 1-1 the count. Giants got the 2-out uprising in the second inning. Bumgarner's got it. And Belt's got it. 1 away. Xfinity X1 customers say, show me the San Francisco Giants into your X1 voice remote and get live stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1. You know, I must have that. And I was told about that, but I thought, oh, that's ridiculous. So I could just tell it to do something for me and it'll do it?
It's like the coolest thing of all times.
Jabari Blash, who was hot in AAA. They brought him up yesterday, and he swung the bat very well yesterday. That's a soaring pop-up. Crawford and Panic both out there, but Crawford takes charge. 2 down.
Got that ball in nicely to Blash. That's where you got to pitch him. You got to pitch him in.
2 down, nobody on. Bumgarner and the Giants with a 2-0 lead. Ibar coming up. Bumgarner got 3 strikeouts in the first inning, but he threw 20 pitches to get him. And a couple of quick outs here in the second. Ibar, the veteran.
One thing you watch when a pitcher's coming back from an injury that involves his arm or his elbow or his wrist or any part of the throwing mechanism. You look at his face after he throws the ball right at release, and if there's any pain in his motion, you can't hide the grimace you'll have on your face. And if you watch Bumgarner, as we are, I mean, he doesn't have any pain whatsoever watching the expression on his face.
Nice hop for Brandon Crawford. And that is a quick inning, a 7-pitch inning for Bumgarner. He's retired 6 in a row. Crawford, Pence, Panic coming up with the Giants.
Kathy Nibby, the wife of Larry Nibby. Kathy and Larry, initial investors with it in 1993 that did wonders to keep the Giants in San Francisco, and she was just an incredibly wonderful woman, and she will be missed. Kathy, we love you, and we will miss you.
Everybody with the Giants deeply saddened. She was a beautiful person, a beautiful woman, a mother with a wonderful family. And as much as we like Larry, we will really miss her because she was a great part of the Giants family. Strike one to Brandon Crawford. Right along the third base line, a fair ball. The throw in from Caesar. Too late and skips right on by Asuaje, backed up by Myers. Crawford with the opposite field double.
Second day in a row we've seen Crawford do this on the outside location. That's not a hanger. That's 93 with two-seam movement on the outside corner. Moving away from Crawford. You try and pull it, you roll it over. It's a ground ball to the second baseman. Here he rakes it right down the line. I mean, that's a big at bat for him to consistently use that side of the field, especially against right-handers.
Hunter Pence, two-run single, put the Giants on the board in the first inning. 2 out. Base hit. The Giants have scored 7 runs in the first 2 games of this series so far. They scored 5 last night and the 2 so far today. And 5 of those 7 runs have been knocked in with 2-out hits, clutch hits. Pence with a chance to knock in another run here. Chased, didn't get. 0-2 the count. Joe Panik on deck. In the dirt and saved by Sanchez. 1-2.
I'm not sure if Sanchez was crossed up on that. He did not look comfortable trying to catch that ball. Man, it was down the dirt, but he got a little glove tied. Which I've seen with 2 tough innings. And here you face the first hitter. Crawford puts himself in scoring position right back at the stretch.
He threw 58 pitches in those first 2 innings alone. So two very difficult innings already. And he strikes out Hunter Pence. 93 miles an hour on the inside.
Yeah, that's a good pitch on 2-strike count. He hadn't shown that side of the play with movement boring in on Pence. Watch the elbows break down. I mean, he really binds him up.
Pence back to the dugout, and here comes Joe Panik. He grounded out to short to end the first inning. So Crawford still at second. Pence not able to move him up. Under the glove. And Ibar gets Joe Panik. Crawford to third. That's 3 balls going right back to him and gone under his glove.
Yeah, he's got to think he's got no web in his glove. Ibar had been playing close to the bag at second. That's the only way that he comes across the bag into second base territory and makes that play. Winds up being a nice play. Well, you can see where he was at the start of the at bat. I mean, he was cheating towards the middle, and it pays off for the Padres. Padres, they really use a lot of shifts. They believe in him.
Now you've got the 8th place hitter up with the pitcher up next. For some managers, this would be a no-brainer. Hey, let's 2 outs. Let's walk this guy. Let's not risk it. Let's go after the pitcher. This guy's been swinging the bat well.
Yeah, especially a guy that had 4 hits last night. You're right. But Bumgarner's Bumgarner, and his reputation as a hitter is an example of how impressed opposing managers are with it.
And Gorky says, you see Bumgarner getting ready on deck. Gorky's hit the ball very hard his first time up tonight. That one just missed, and Hector Sanchez did not think so.
Nor did Chassin. He thought he had it.
A ball and a strike to Gorky. He lined one hard to the right fielder his first time.
Right there in the outside corner.
Pitchcast thought it was there too. That's a pop-up. Ibar calling for it. Crawford, a leadoff double, but he is stranded. Still 2-0 Giants. By your California Ford dealers. Last night, first inning, 2 down. This pop fly and an outstanding play, a sliding catch by Nunez for the final out of the inning to retire Pereira and get Johnny Cueto off the mound. Sorry, smart play from last night. Now the last of the third, Madison Bumgarner, 2 shutout innings. Here is Hector Sanchez, his old teammate, and he yanks it foul.
And he broke his bat. And he lost his sunglasses.
I don't know why things went pretty well for Hector on that swing. But not this guy is like, my sunglasses, man, that cost me a fortune. And Glenn Hoffman picked him up for it.
This is Glenn Hoffman's 12th year as a third base coach with the Padres. He's a good one.
I remember I broadcast the first game he ever played in the big leagues. Glenn Hoffman, he came up with the Boston Red Sox. Off the outside to Sanchez. 1 ball and 1 strike. He's the older brother of Trevor Hoffman, who ended up being the great closer here for the Padres. Certainly on his way to the Hall of Fame. Little bloop, Crawford. And that's all for Hector Sanchez. 7 in a row retired by Bumgarner.
Well, and it's how he's doing it too. I mean, he's really getting that fastball in on the hands of these right-handed hitters. I think he broke another bat of Sanchez.
Dave Fleming over on the radio side, the KNBR booth. He'll be changing booths. He and the whole Fleming family will be coming over here for the middle innings. I've got the movers here, all my boxes, and getting ready to make the move to that booth. Or maybe the family will stay with me over there.
Well, there's more seats over there. Let's see, Dave's 3 children. He's got his oldest daughters, twins, Katie and Carter, and then his son David. They all came down to see his wife Jess. Her mom and dad live down here in the San Diego area.
And he curves him for a called strike 2. Matt Caesar, the 8th place hitter, the former Cub.
If you're looking for signs of erosion because of the injury, I'm not seeing it with Bumgarner. Now, he hasn't had any stretch time. He hasn't really had to dig deep.
That's a foul out of play.
But what you're watching is his ability to get in tight with that cut fastball, which is his bread and butter under right-handers. His curveball's got snapped to it. He's not throwing with any pain. And the other thing too about him is he's got a nice pace going. And when you haven't been out there for a long time, it's at the big league level. Now granted, he had 3 or 4 rehab starts in the minor leagues. It's a little different, and it's really easy to get into a rhythm where you're quick. You're a little out of whack because you're geeked up. And he just does not look that way at all. Looks to me like he's completely at home with where he's at and having fun.
2-2. The pitcher, Yolis Chacin, is on deck. Dwayne Kuiper, by the way, is on assignment. He'll be back in the booth Monday night, and the Giants begin a series with Cleveland at AT&T Park. 2-2 the count. That one is hit well, and it is into the upper deck. A long home run for Caesar. The first run for the Padres, the first hit.
And he does it in a 2-strike count. Like a curveball, maybe had a little height above the knees. Well, more than that, that's out the belt. That's a hanger, and you saw the reaction from Bumgarner. He knew it right away. It's a big boy home run.
So here's Chacin. Just like that, it's 2-1 Giants. Matt Caesar with his 3rd home run this year. From the hole, Crawford, long throw. Out, number 2. Now the leadoff man, Manuel Margot, will come up. Margot struck out in the first. Bumgarner coming back from the disabled. It's his first game in the big leagues in 3 months, or just about 3 months. Struck out his first hitter, Margot, who gave him a battle, 9-pitch battle before he got it, and he struck out all 3 of the hitters in the first inning. A little bit off the outside. Two and 0. Tomorrow's game, the finale of the series, a first pitch at 1:40. Jeff Samardzija for the Giants against Trevor Cahill, veteran sinker baller. Belt starts over, but this one reaches back in amongst the spectators along the end of the Padre dugout. 2-1. Giants pregame live begins at 12:30 tomorrow.
Yeah, kind of an odd first pitch at 1:40.
Wow, that looked pretty good. 3-1.
Just a bit outside. Talk about the short corners that Reynolds has. I mean, he's always been that way.
Pitch cast. Agreed with Reynolds. And this one is back out of play. Full count now. 3-2. Giants saw Margot and Hunter Renfroe. Renfroe, by the way, the young slugger, they both came up from the minor leagues late last season, and they had had excellent years with El Paso. He struck him out again. Dave Fleming coming over. We go to the fourth. Bumgarner will be coming up. It's 2-1 Giants.
As we celebrate Game of Thrones, your special event ticket will include a limited edition Game of Thrones House of Pence bobblehead and a ticket to see the Giants take on the Padres. Go to sfgiants.com/special events. You need a ticket to get the Game of Thrones House of Pence bobblehead. Meanwhile, here it's 2-1 Giants, top of the fourth inning, and here's my pal, Dave Fleming.
Madison Bumgarner, who at times sort of reminds you of a character from Game of Thrones.
Oh, he's a Baratheon, no doubt.
He's not messing around. Now what a return for Bumgarner to the mound. At the plate so far, 0 for 2. Tomorrow night, the premiere. Right?
Tomorrow night is the premiere.
So we will get home. We'll get home in time to see that. No problem.
Well,
Unless something really weird happens.
I love it when there's shows that basically unite the country. That's certainly one of them.
Here's Denard Span. Good to be with you, by the way.
Yeah, did you have a good day with the family?
Good day with the fam. Breakfast over in La Jolla. Why not?
Well, we had a chance to see your twin daughters, Katie and Carter, and your son David. They look a little tired. You can wear them down.
It's a lot of activity in this town. Span to right field, not that deep, but Blash has plenty of time to get there. Now the real test will be, so I come over here to join you. The real test will be they went out on their own into the concession stands to go get some ice cream. So let's see how long it takes them to get back.
Well, that's a challenge. A lot of things to see here.
The clock is ticking.
Walk in the concourse here at Petco Ballpark, which is really a great ballpark.
I figured they're old enough. Let them figure it out.
Absolutely.
It'll be an adventure.
But if they come back with a Boda bag full of wine, I'm going to be a little concerned about them.
We'll have a few different issues if that happens. Nunez takes a called strike 2.
Good crowd on hand tonight. It's going to be fireworks after the show here in San Diego.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Here's a swing and a miss. Nunez goes down swinging. They're hoping for a long game, huh? Because it might not be dark. We'll see.
Good point. Togo's big play the Togo's way. And last night, Gorky Hernandez with his first 4-hit game hit a single in the second, a single in the fourth, single in the sixth, and a double in the 8th inning. First career game with 4 hits, and that is our Togo's big play the Togo's way. A night he will not soon forget.
I know you're laughing at what they put up on the video board in between innings.
Well, they have a pose down here.
Yeah, the flex cam.
It shows your muscles, your guns.
And they kind of pit one fan against another. And it was kind of looking like maybe a fair fight for a while. And then contested number 2 ripped off the shirt, and it was not a fair fight anymore.
It was over. He wins. I think he's the reigning Mr. California.
That's a nice curveball.
Yeah, and a 1-0 count, too.
So what's your impression of Bumgarner through the first 3 innings?
To me, he looks like he's good to go. He's had no problem getting that ball in tight on the righties. Curveball and a 1-0 count. Got a nice feel with that pitch. He's had a good rhythm. We haven't seen him in the stretch yet. And that is definitely something that, it's a test you have to pass, being able to transition from wind up to stretch.
Down the left field line toward the corner, but foul.
Javier Lopez went down to Arizona and saw one of the starts one of the first starts that Madison Bumgarner had, and he came back in and says he's the bum. He looks great. And Javier Lopez knows him as good as anybody. And judge me what we've seen tonight. That's a pretty good scout report from Javier.
We saw a lot of those all around San Diego today, didn't we?
Yes, we did. A lot of Bumgarner jerseys, a lot of orange and black.
Full count here to Aswahe.
This will be an interesting pitch right here.
Yeah.
Aswahe is not the kind of guy you want to walk. Too much speed.
Three-two. He goes with the cutter. And that ball is fouled out of play. Swahe, that ball hit his bat. Foul ball.
It's a break. That was ball 4.
He's a guy the Giants may be seeing a lot of over these next several years. Padres going to give him a chance to be their everyday second baseman. Just missed.
Well, now the other test begins when you get into your stretch for the first time. And I've always believed that the longer it takes you to get into your stretch, the harder it is to find a rhythm in the stretch. And for Bumgarner, that means it may be that he takes 3 or 4 pitches to find a rhythm. Sometimes it doesn't bother him at all. But it is a concern for every pitching coach when a guy goes out there making his first start since April 19th. The big league level.
So let's see. First pitch right there on the corner.
Out of a slide step too. And I think left-handers, when you first get into your stretch, for the most part, they'll get pretty deliberate with a higher leg kick, but not with Bumgarner. Went right to the slide step.
Myers pops it up, out of play. 0-2. It's kind of easy to forget because he's been around so long now, had so many great moments. But when we first saw Bumgarner as a kid, a real kid, he was vulnerable to the running game, and he got ticked off about it, and went from being one of the guys who was easiest to run against in the National League to one of the very toughest. It took him basically one off season. Was hit deep but foul.
Herman Franks, who was my first manager and had been manager of the Giants and been a part of the Giants organization for a long time, said to me when I was a young pitcher, a rookie, he said, if you're going to be a pitcher at the big league level, you have to be like that cop right down on Michigan Avenue at rush hour. You've got to control a lot of things. And it's so true. I mean, you have to be able to be aware of the rhythms. The rhythm of the runner, you have to be able to control that. The rhythm of the hitter, the rhythm of the inning, when to pick your pace up, when to slow things down. There's a lot going on, and for a young pitcher, it's just simply a matter of being able to learn how to do it. And for Bumgarner, it was a challenge. He accepted it, he worked hard at it, and what was a negative became a strength.
Struck him out with the curveball.
So I have to say that's a past test right there. First time he gets to the stretch, you strike out a hitter like Myers, and you do it for the second time. Second time he gets him on a finish pitch down the dirt.
It's a big first out here in the 4th inning. And again, as Mike was pointing out, first hitter from the stretch for Bumgarner of the game. The one Padres run on a solo home run. Girella takes a ball. This will be the 60th pitch from Bumgarner. The Giants feel confident. He worked himself into good condition in his minor league outings.
And right now he's going to try and pitch for the ground ball too. So let's see how he does in the situation.
He gets a pop-up. Pence got kind of a late break, but he's got plenty of time to get there. 2 down. I do think being as efficient as possible tonight will be important for Bumgarner, because it's probably not going to be. There have been lots and lots of nights over the years where those two have allowed Bumgarner to push himself and push the limit, stay in games for a long while, work himself through trouble. Tonight's probably not going to be a night where they're going to push him too hard.
I agree with you. Totally.
That one hit hard, but foul.
This is the guy that I really thought would be a test. You know, he's a 6'5" hitter, long armed, and he's a middle away guy. But when he went down to the minor leagues, I mean, he was one hitting 106 early this season. They sent him down to work on the inside pitch. He's come back hot. He had great at bats last night. And for Bumgarner, guys with long swings, long arm hitters, he usually buries them with that fastball in the hands. So you're going strength on.
Well, it is an interesting point in that this is the kind of guy that usually really struggles against Bumgarner.
Check the
Fastball up, 1-1.
Got to make a Suarez stop.
Two.
Staying on that side of the plate. 3 pitches in. Now they can back foot slider him. He can curveball him on top of the plate, or he can burn right on his hands with a fastball. Posey wanted the backdoor slider. That's the thing about Bumgarner. He's got 4 options, 5 options that he can get you to swing and miss just by changing locations. Miss away, it sets up inside.
I mean, when you say he's a fastball cutter, curveball pitcher, it doesn't really describe the full arsenal because of what you're talking about.
Because of his ability to use both sides of the plate. You're absolutely right.
The backdoor cutter is a completely different pitch than the one that he buries in on right-handed hitters. He threw the curveball there, and Blash hit it pretty well. In fact, he hit it out. A 2-run homer has put the Padres ahead.
Well, what a difference a trip to the minor leagues has made for Jabari Blash. And that's a 2-strike, 2-out swing of the bat. It's the first curveball he saw in the sequence, and very much like the home run hit out by Matt Caesar, a 2-strike curveball. This time it's Blash that makes him pay for the hang, and Blash knew it, and he stood there a little bit. Bumgarner looked at him. So stay tuned for the next matchup.
Well, that one hurts. That's a liner to center. Span will make the catch. Nice play, Denard Span. But 1 hit equals 2 runs through 4. Padres have taken a 3-2 lead.
Bay Area is brought to you by Provident Credit Union Super Reward Checking. We pay you.
3-2 Padres. We're going into the top of the 5th inning. And it's going to be Brandon Belt, who is taking his 3rd at bat against Jhoulys Chacín. 0 for 1 with a walk. And Chacín missing outside with the first pitch curveball.
Well, Madison Bumgarner has given up 2 home runs. They're the only hits he's allowed.
Yeah, both 2-strike curveballs.
That's the difference in the game. The Giants had to be thinking, I mean, the Giants had so many chances in those first few innings. Blash just hit the 2nd of those home runs. Giants have had 5 hits, 3 walks, base runners all over the place. 2-0 to Belt, and Chacín just kind of flips in a curveball for a strike.
Yeah, he's not going to look for that curveball. Not in a 2-0 count. I mean, that was the same curveball he took for strike 3 in the 1st inning. See the slightly open stance right in the back line for Belt.
Chacín had a 1-2-3 inning last inning, but there's not been many moments in this game where he's looked like he's been too sharp. Falling behind Belt 3-1, 3-2. Posey on deck. Crawford will also come up in this inning. Still a long way to go here tonight. Top of the 5th. That's strike 3 called. Belt's not happy.
He got him on a strike 3 his first at bat with a curveball on the outside corner. Here he two-seams a fastball and he absolutely splits the outside corner. I mean, that's as fine a location. Not a whole lot you can do. I mean, you can hope to fight it off. In Belt's mind, no question it was outside, but I don't think so. Not with 2 strikes. You've got to protect.
So Belt unhappy. Here's Buster with 1 out and nobody on. What a difference a few feet makes. Posey, his last time up, hit one that off the bat I thought might have been a grand slam. This time on the first pitch, grounds out. 2 down. So 2 outs, nobody on. Padres are coming to town on this next homestand, and on Sunday the 23rd, so 1 week from tomorrow, first 20,000 fans get a Giants bucket hat courtesy of Macy's. SFGiants.com, the place to go. I think we'll be seeing a lot of those, not just on Sunday, but for a while after Sunday. Those are going to stand out.
Yeah. That'd be kind of like the 2-flap hat.
Who knew that was going to be such a hit? We see those everywhere.
Doesn't work in any other ballpark. But it is a hit in San Francisco.
Crawford's had a nice game, a walk and a double. 2-0. One of the #1 goals, I think, for the second half is to get Crawford going again.
Well, I mean, his on-base percentage the first half was .266, and that's not him. I mean, he's a lifetime .319 on-base percentage guy. So you would expect that to get a whole lot better. The other thing too this year, you think back about all the times he swung a lot of first pitches, kind of taking advantage of how the league has pitched him for the longest time. He's very selective, didn't offer a lot of first pitches in his young career. He was swinging at 3-0. But this year, in a different philosophy, and because of that, it has affected his on-base percentage.
Still a good hitter's count, 3-1. He takes ball 4. Is on base for the 3rd straight time tonight with a couple of walks. That's a good sign. Pence, who knocked in both of the Giants' runs back in the 1st inning with a 2-out, 2-run single.
Chelsea wanted that one.
He's shaking his head.
And you can get ticked off about it. Pitch you didn't get. Then you have to get over it.
It's a foul.
Saw the same speed. This one had a little more elevation to it, middle end. It's when you step out of the box, you think, I just missed it.
The 1-1, a check swing foul. That one was riding up and in. Pence tried to pull the bat back out of the way, couldn't do it.
Those are strikes hitters hate to give up. The check swing strike where you just catch a piece of the bat. If they're going to get a strike, they want to swing.
The only thing that's worse is when you do that and put it in play.
Yeah, come back to the pitcher. Or I should say, the only thing that's better.
Yeah. 1-2, and he hits a foul. Just stays alive.
Kind of piece of Hector Sanchez.
We saw a lot of that in his days in the orange and black.
Comes up, caught him under the left elbow. Hector, good man.
He is, and a tough dude. I mean, for a guy who didn't play all that much, it just seemed like not even just separate from the concussion issue, which is a whole different issue. He took a beating at times. 1-2 in the dirt.
Hector Sanchez, when he's done playing, he's going to be in this game for a long time. Really great people skills, very articulate, 2 languages. Staying as a coach, he wants to manage, and I absolutely think he can manage.
Two. Pence right off the end of the bat. Aswahe for the catch. And the Giants get a walk but do not score. Chacin has settled in, and the Padres middle of the 5th lead at 3-2.
Is presented by the authority of the San Francisco Giants and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of San Francisco Giants Baseball Club, LLC.
Dave Fleming, Mike Krukow back here at Petco Park on this beautiful San Diego night. 3-2 Padres. Bumgarner back on the mound off the DL, facing an old teammate, Hector Sanchez, to start the bottom of the 5th. Hector, switch hitter, batting right-handed against Bumgarner. 0-2.
Heads up down there. Well, and perhaps she too will be a future ball girl someday.
Yeah, no kidding. That's good inspiration. Out to left center field. Gorkis Hernandez, one away. It's been a weird game in that Bumgarner's only given up 2 hits. That's very much a positive. But both of the hits have been home runs.
Well, and I think he's going to be a little critical of the curveballs that he gave up. And then normally those are kill pitch for Bumgarner, the 2-strike curveball. And the fact that he hung 2 of them and they both got blistered. Won't be happy about those.
One of them was to this guy, Matt Caesar, who had the first of the 2 home runs.
Well, and for a pitcher like Bumgarner, you get an 8th place hitter in a 2-strike count. You're thinking, I got this. So you really have to tip your cap to Caesar, who in a 2-strike count, I mean, he got a good pitch to hit. He didn't miss it. It's the big leagues, man. It's professional baseball. Take a look at the swing of the bat. This came in the 3rd inning with 1 out. 2-strike count. He hits a hanging curveball, 2nd decker. I mean, that's a big boy home run.
He hadn't had a ton of at-bats this year. It's his 3rd home run. He bunts, and that's going to be a hit.
Well, the beauty of being an 8th place hitter. You hit a home run, they're not expecting you to bunt. You play the 3rd baseman back. And I don't think you can execute a drag bunt any better than this. I mean, this is how you do it. And Nunez, I mean, he knew he had 0 chance.
That turns into a good play. Matt Caesar at first base. Chacin given the chance to make a productive out, showed bunt, swung away, pops it up. Crawford was playing in, so he has a long way to go, but nobody at shortstop does that better than Brandon Crawford.
And he does a Willie Mays style. If you're a Bay Area kid, as Brandon Crawford was raised in the Bay Area, you follow the Giants. And even though he never saw Willie Mays play, he saw a lot of clips of Willie Mays making the basket catch. That's vintage Willie Mays right there.
You want to be a good Giant? Learn how to do that. That's one avenue.
Oh, yeah.
So 2 down. Caesar, who does have good speed, is at first base.
I think this is an automatic go here if you're a base stealer and you have speed. Because if you're successful, you're in scoring position. If you're not, you start off the next inning with your leadoff hitter.
Margot on the first pitch never gave him a chance to go. Picked nicely by Nunez for the 3rd out. The bunt hit doesn't cost Bumgarner. On to the 6th. 3-2 Pods. Donald's True Stories. And yeah, it was on this date in 1986. Mike Kruko's favorite ballpark, the Astrodome.
10 years to do this.
The host of the All-Star Game, meeting with dignitaries, and then, yeah, there you were in the game itself. And you faced some pretty good hitters, didn't you, in that All-Star Game? Cal Ripken, Jesse Barfield, Frank White. You got them 1, 2, 3. It was on this date in 1986.
Wow.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, that's cool. Most adrenaline I've ever felt in my life.
Is that true?
Oh, no doubt.
Even over the postseason starts?
Oh, not even close.
Wow. Well, that's interesting.
Well, it took me 10 years to make an all-star team.
So you'd been building up to it.
So I had a little all-star anxiety. But Mike Rourke, who was the pitching coach with the Cardinals, Buddy Herzog was the manager of the National League team that year. And Mike had been my pitching coach in Chicago with the Cubs. And so I was lobbying hard to get an inning. And once it got past the 6th inning, I didn't think I was going to get in because there were so many relievers left to pitch. And then it's kind of their territory the last 3 innings.
Panic hits one deep to right field, and it is gone. Tie game. An all-star kind of swing from Joe Panic, his 6th home run of the year. It's 3-3.
You know, and you watch him hit home runs. He had count leverage. He's looking fastball. He got a good pitch to drive. And it's not an overswing with him, ever. It's just a compact swing. And that ball just elevates on contact. He gets a little backspin off of a 90-mile-an-hour mistake right at the top of the zone. And that got out of here easily.
So the Padres using a couple long balls. Giants answer with a home run of their own. Joe Panic.
A lot of home runs here in this ballpark.
Yeah, it has really changed. The first we did the first game ever here the night that Petco Park opened back in 2004. You and I were here. Giants opened this ballpark up, and for years, I mean, the fences were a little deeper, but it was just a home run graveyard.
Now we're seeing opposite field home runs on both sides of the field.
It's just totally different. Berkey Hernandez for round number 1.
Just to finish that story about it,
yeah.
I was told to warm up. I was going to get the 9th inning, and I went down and threw the first pitch, 95. First pitch. Next pitch, I said curveball, 95. Next pitch, changeup, 95. What was unique about it is I hadn't thrown 95 in like 7 years. So I sat down after 4 pitches. I was too amped up. I asked Buster Posey, who just came back from this year's All-Star game, about it. And you know, you're playing a lot of them and you're relaxed. He said you still get pumped up, but it's not like it was the first few times. Even getting voted in as a starter. The first time you do it, it's out of control.
High class issues for Buster. Yeah, when you're there 5-6 times, you learn how to handle it.
Well, he had a ball this year.
Yeah.
He was the only representative of the Giants, and he took his whole family.
Bumgarner to third. That was kind of a lazy throw, but it got the job done.
Like a timing pattern.
And the timing was off. 2 down. Yeah, I personally, for me, it was cool to watch Buster. I mean, the Giants we're so used to seeing so many Giants, including that guy, in the All-Star game year after year. But he had cleanup for the National League with all the great hitters in the National League. The National League is just full of great stars. And Buster was the cleanup hitter. What did he catch? 5 innings?
5 innings. His wife Kristen was there, his son Lee, and daughter Addison. And they were into it.
Span pops one up. Shallow center. Who's going to take it? Ibar. Giants are gone, but Joe Panic sends one out to right field. Bye-bye, baby, for Panic, his 6th of the year here at Petco Park. In support of Madison, Bumgarner will go. 3-3 in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Padres with a couple home runs. 2 of their 3 hits have left the yard. And Madison Bumgarner. Such a big night for the Giants to see him back on the mound off the DL. Missed 3 months. 3rd time through now for the Pods. Aswahe, Myers, and Pirella. First pitch swing and a grounder to Panic. It was all over the place in the 6th inning. 1 away.
Nice play. That's not an easy play either. And he knew he had to get upset, or he had to get set up quickly because of the speed that Aswahe could put on a play. And one thing about Joe Panic, he's a strong-legged second baseman. He really gets to that foundation quickly. And he's got a shortstop's arm. It makes that play look easily. And Bumgarner appreciates that.
1 down for Will Myers. Myers who's 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. Guy who was in the lineup for the National League in last year's game when it was played right here. 2-0.
Posey slowing it down.
To shortstop. Crawford throws out Myers.
Well, Monday, July 17th is Bruce Lee Tribute Night. Your special event ticket will include a Bruce Lee Giants themed T-shirt. I want to get that, I want to get that, I want to get that. And a ticket to watch the Giants take on the American League champion Cleveland Indians. Go to sfgiants.com/special events and check it out.
Every few years we get a Dwayne Kuiper series. Cleveland and the Giants. Terry Francona back. That's nice to see. Francona dealing with a different issue, but we have experienced these last couple of years where Bruce Bochy's had to miss a few games with a couple different little heart problems, and Francona in a similar fashion saying, hey, he's fine. It's not a long-term health issue. That ball's fair by Jose Pirella. Hernandez will scoop it up, but it's a double.
Well, that's not a hanger either. I mean, that's a pitch that Bumgarner wanted to make. He wanted to get that thing in tight, in on the hands. And now he'll face Jabari Blash, who in the 4th inning did this. This is a 2-strike curveball. And Blash, who started out the season in the big leagues, did not do well, got sent down. They said learn to hit the inside pitch, and he has come back red hot. He has not had a bad at bat in this series.
The numbers look modest still, but don't let the numbers fool you, because his at-bats have been excellent. He just looks like a different hitter.
Well, just watch his mannerisms. I mean, he's believing it. The way he gets in the box now, he kind of bows his back, kind of squats down. Just, I mean, he is comfortable. A little buggy whip going. That's a confident look.
He hits that one to center field, carrying well again, but maybe not quite well enough. So Bumgarner gets through it. John Miller's going to come back and join Mike here on the TV side. Happy All-Star anniversary, Mike.
Thank you, partner. Thank you.
3-3.
Game summary. It's brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. It's all tied up through 6 full innings of play. The Padres 3 runs on 6 hits, no errors. Giants 3 runs on 4 hits. Madison Bumgarner has been outstanding. 6 solid innings with 5 strikeouts. He has given up 3 runs, both coming on 2-strike home runs. One, the big blast to Blash, who has looked very good in this series. The Giants have had a homer off the bat of Joe Panik. It has tied things up. That is our Toyota game summary, brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Right now, there's a new pitcher for the Padres. It is Phil Maton, and when it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Your trusted oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. We saw Maton in last night's ball game. Low 90s fastball with a slinging 3-quarter delivery. He's also got a curveball and a changeup. And it's all tied up 3-3, top of the 7th. Here again, my pal John Miller.
All right, thanks, Mike. Also a new third baseman. Corey Spangenberg is now at third, so Pirela goes out as part of a double switch. There's Spangenberg. Nunez has walked and scored a run, beat down an infield hit, and he has struck out. So officially 1 for 2. Been on base twice in 3 plate appearances. That's a called strike on the outside. The starter, Jhoulys Chacín, after all those pitches the first 2 innings, was much more economical the rest of the way. Threw 102 in his 6 innings. And maybe the Giants got rid of him an inning earlier than they might have. Than the Padres might like to have seen him be taken out. There's a foul. Out of play off to the right. But there was a time in those first 2 innings where you thought, well, he'll be lucky to finish 5 innings the way he's going. Brandon Belt is on deck. Ooh, nasty.
Good breaking ball. Outstanding location. You have a 1-2 advantage on the hitter. I mean, that's where you want to throw your breaking ball, especially if he doesn't know you. Started off in the middle of the strike zone and let it crash to the dirt. I mean, that's a big break.
Brandon Belt now. Belt is probably not too sad to see Chacín go. Struck out looking twice against him and has never done well against him. Very high and outside at 93 miles an hour. They've got 3 infielders swung over to the right side of the infield. There you see that they got the overshift on. Nobody at shortstop, but got somebody close to third base to discourage him from trying to lay down a bunt. Looks like Ibar is the shortstop is now at third. Back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Looks like Spangenberg is playing the second base position. And the second baseman Asuaje is out in shallow right field. Too high. 2-1 the count. Belt, although he struck out looking twice, he also drew a walk that loaded the bases back in the second with 2 down. That looked a pretty good pitch to hit, but fouled straight back to the screen. 2-2. That was a big time in the game because after the walk to Belt in the second, they had the bases loaded. Buster Posey came up and he hit one deep into left field that got caught just in front of the wall. Just missed a grand slam by a few feet.
Just got out on the end of the bat, Posey.
Now it's 3-2.
Maton trying to come around that backside corner. The same thing that Chacín did to Belt in the first inning. Belt has been called out on that outside corner twice. Once with a curveball, once with a fastball. So you would think, having been bit twice, he is going to expand his strike zone to that side of the plate. And when you do that, you're susceptible in.
Smoked that one foul into the crowd in a hurry.
Heads up.
Full count to Brandon Belt. 3-3 in the 7th inning. Joe Panik's 6th inning home run tied this game. Maton tries it again. And it's a walk for Brandon Belt. And Buster Posey will come up. Brandon Belt at the start of play today was 8th in the league in drawing walks. So he always gets a lot of walks. Buster Posey with a look at Phil Nevin, the third base coach. Buster hit a single to center to keep the first inning alive, and eventually scored one of the Giants' runs in that inning. Hit the near grand slam in the 2nd, grounded out in the 5th. Called strike 1.
Good location.
Posey has, unlike a lot of hitters, been pretty comfortable in this ballpark. He has the most home runs of any out-of-town player in the history of this ballpark. Big rip, but back to the screen so quickly. He's behind in the count. 0-2 now.
And that's one Posey's going to think about it. Right on the fastball, just underneath the tag.
Buster tied with Todd Helton, Adam LaRoche, who are now both retired. And Mark Reynolds, Pablo Sandoval, Justin Upton, Chris Young, all still active. Very high. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And of course, this ballpark, when it opened, this was probably the most difficult home run ballpark. I remember Barry Bonds hit one. I think it was opening day, the first game ever played here. He got robbed by Gary Payton, who made a leaping catch and took it back into the ballpark. Barry, who used to torment the Padres at the old ballpark. That's way outside. 2-2 now to Buster Posey. And they asked Barry, he says, well, you know, the Padres said that they wanted to make this ballpark Barry Bonds proof after all the damage you did to the old ballpark. And Barry said, well, I think they went beyond that. They made it baseball proof.
There just weren't any home runs getting hit here.
And some of the Padres sluggers were really unhappy about it.
Ryan Klesko in particular.
There goes Belt. Posey strikes out and double play from the knees. Sanchez put that one right in the bag at second.
endurance. He's that kind of athlete.
And I wouldn't bet against him.
No.
Madison Bumgarner, last of the 7th. He's thrown 83 pitches in his first game back from the injury, a very serious injury, which he suffered to his throwing arm, his throwing shoulder. Eric Ibar leads off against him. Ball one. Ibar has grounded out to short and lined out to center. 3-3 the score. Padres bullpen, their ace left-hander Brad Hand is up. Drops that one in there for a cold strike. Hector Sanchez is on deck. And then Matt Caesar due up third in the inning. And that is strike 2 called.
Good changeup. I mean, he really has shown a good feel with everything he's had tonight. Outside of a couple of hanging curveballs. I mean, even curveballs that he's throwing, they've had some pretty good snap to him. He got beat on a couple pitches up.
High and foul and headed out of play off the right field line.
But, all in all, I think Bruce Bochy and David Getty have to be pretty happy with what they're seeing from the big man.
The Padres have only had one man. There's Bochy and Righetti. Padres have only had one batter come up with a runner in scoring position, which is a sign of dominance for a pitcher. And that is fouled into the upper deck off to the right. Righetti is caught in the bullpen. Well, Bumgarner, he definitely wanted to. What did he tell you, Mike? Well, just like always, I want to pitch 7. He's pitched 7.
Well, yeah, I mean, in his mind, he's trying to throw a no-hit shutout. I mean, that's what he's trying to do. That's the way he approaches every game. Give up a hit, then try and throw a one-hitter, so on and so forth. But he just didn't seem to be that much concerned about the pitch count when we were talking to him.
Well, the Giants, he's getting up into that level now where they're going to be very cautious with him. As Okert, the left-hander, and Contos, the right-hander, start to warm up under the watchful eye of Mark Gardner. Here is Nunez. One away.
Well, MLB.com at bat is your #1 mobile app for live Giants baseball. Download MLB.com at bat today.
Mad Bum. He's back as of tonight.
And oh, did we miss him?
Hector Sanchez has popped up to short, flied out to shallow left center. A switch hitter batting right-handed. He shows bunt, takes a called strike. He showed bunt, but he didn't look like he meant it.
Well, usually a guy shows bunt, then the next pitch you're going to at least play in on the grass. Nunez is not buying it. He went right back to deep third.
And that's low and outside.
I just think Sanchez was going up there, going to take a pitch no matter what.
He's a very aggressive hitter. Many's a time where whatever they were throwing, he was swinging at it. He's got power. You have to respect that power. 2-1.
Well, and I think most of his power is down around the knees. And usually with switch hitters, they're low ball hitters from the left side, high ball hitters from the right side. That's not really the case with Hector Sanchez. He kind of likes the knees from both sides of the plate.
2-1 the count. Over in right center, plenty of room for Hunter Pence. 2 down. So Hector is 0 for 3. Now Matt Caesar, the former Cub, he got the first hit of the night against Bumgarner, and it was an upper deck home run to left field back in the 3rd inning. And then he bunted for a hit with 1 out, nobody on, and the pitcher up next back in the 5th inning. 2 down, bases empty. In the dirt. Pitch number 95 for Madison Bumgarner. Bruce Bochy, that's the question you get for a game like this. A guy coming back from the disabled list. How far will you go with him? Bochy's, I feel like he should be able to go 90 to 100. That is in there for a called strike. He threw 86 last Monday. His final rehab start for San Jose.
Well, the natural progression would be add 15 pitches to it, which takes you right to the century level, which is where he's just about at.
That's pulled foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Whoop.
It's an extreme rules violation.
That wasn't me. She doesn't want to be seen with him now.
Well, I don't blame her.
2-2.
That was a bad effort.
So what is it? She's afraid that she'll be called as an accomplice or what?
She's going, dude. I think he's getting double duded both sides. Mom's not even claiming him.
Caesar back into the second deck. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down, nobody on.
I think they're going to have a few laughs about that on the road home. Yep. Younger brother's a hero, at least in his mind.
Full count now. Pitch number 100 of the night, thrown by Bumgarner.
Dad's semi-proud.
Ooh, ball 4, and that may be the end of the night for Bumgarner.
He thought he had strike 3. Yeah, that you too. That was a good pitch. Right out on the outside corner. So it's probably going to be the last hitter for Bumgarner, no matter what.
Well, Spangenberg is in the 9th spot. He came in as part of a double switch with Maton in the first half of this inning. So Bumgarner, the lefty, stays in to face the left-handed hitter. High pop-up. Bell backpedaling, but Panic comes over, calls him off. Bumgarner just 1 more pitch and the inning is over. 7 strong for Bumgarner tonight in his return. Crawford, Pence, Panic coming up. It is 3-3.
On NBC Sports Bay Area is brought to you by the all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica. By AAA. Get a free canvas backpack. Restrictions apply. Go to AAA.com/road trip or to a AAA branch for details. By Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By Jack in the Box. Come try the new sweet or spicy barbecue bacon cheeseburger and chicken sandwich. Limited time only. By Heffernan Insurance Brokers. Insurance and financial services for you and your business. Visit hefins.com. And by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places.
Strike one to Brandon Crawford facing Padres all-star left-hander Brad Hand just into the game. Pitching change for the Padres when it's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Your trusted oil change, tune-up, and repair experts.
60 strikeouts and 47 innings pitched for Hand. Just averaging a base runner an inning. And for Hand, you're going to see low to mid-90s, more highs or more mids and lows. Big curveball and a slider. And he can strike you out with all three.
Hand pitched the 7th inning in the All-Star game. Scorelessly through 14 pitches, had a strikeout. No hits, no walks.
And there are a lot of teams that want Brad Hand. I would be surprised if he's in San Diego after the July 31st deadline, trade deadline.
Pretty good acquisition by the Padres. He had been with the Marlins and never had that kind of success that he's had since he got here. He's been a premier reliever in the National League. Now the 2nd year running as a Padre. 2-1 to Crawford. And a foul out of play. Brandon has been on base 3 straight times. A walk in the 1st, a double in the 3rd, and a walk in the 5th. Madison Bumgarner, 7 innings in his return. 4 hits allowed through 102 pitches, but gave up a couple of home runs as he talks it over with Billy Hayes and also fellow left-hander Matt Moore. 2-2 to Brandon Crawford. Pence on deck. Struck him out.
Good hard curveball, perfect location. It kind of sets it up. The earlier breaking balls in the at bat were sliders, and he saved that for a little 2-strike surprise. Quality pitch.
Hunter Pence, a 2-run single in the 1st inning. A big hit. Giants have only scored 1 more run since then. It was a 2-out, bases loaded, base hit. Strike 1. Pence has had some success against Hand. 4 hits in 10 at bats, including 2 doubles. He's also walked a couple of times. 3-3. The Giants have 6 hits. Only 1 since the 3rd inning, though. The ball on the strike.
It's right where Hector Sanchez wanted that fastball. Pretty good take from Hunter Pence's perspective. I mean, he's always been aggressive on that high pitch above the letters.
And you see Pence's numbers against Brad Hand. Right to the first baseman Myers. He'll take it himself. Out number 2.
Let's take you through the strikeouts that Bumgarner had tonight. He had 5. He started off in the 1st inning with a swing and strike 3 to Margot. Could not check a swing. Then a called strike 3 on Aswahe. And Myers goes down swinging. Then he gets Margot again. And then he gets Myers again. So 5 strikeouts, 3 swing and miss strike 3s. 1 walk, 4 hits allowed. I mean, just a fantastic night. He's going to think about those 2 hanging curveballs that cost him the 3 runs on the board by way of a 2-run homer and a solo shot. But he really pitched well.
Joe Panik, who hit a home run his last time that tied the ball game in the 6th. 2 down, bases empty. Just missing. 1 ball, no strikes. Joe Panic now with 6 home runs. He hit one into that area right. If you hit it right down the right field line, that's the one little shallow spot in this ballpark. 1-1.
Take a look at the swing of the bat that tied the game for the Giants. And for Joe Panic, home run number 6. And that was not an overswing.
That area in which he hit that home run, that's called the Petco porch. Called a strike. 1-2. 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
That paint outside corner is just above the knees.
As home run porches go, this one is very small here at Petco, the Petco porch. I mean, there's some ballparks that have real home run porches. It's the whole, you know, all of right field is the home run porch, or left field, or whatever.
Big curveball. Tough one to take.
2-2.
Here's the porch. I mean, didn't they used to call it the jury box when it first opened up?
It could be. I mean, it protrudes out onto the field. $36,266. A lot of Giants fans doing a cheer. And that's a full count. 95-mile-an-hour fastball there. So it's a 3-2 count now to Panic. There it is. It's only 3:22 to the foul pole, but the Petco porch comes out. The porch lasts for about 30 feet. Then it angles out very dramatically and gets very deep in a hurry. 3-2 the count. And a high pop fly. Jabari Blash. Hand retires the Giants in order. Last of the 8th inning. Top of the order coming up. 3-3.
The Unlimited Baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile. Tomorrow's starters for the finale of this 3-game series here in San Diego will be the right-hander Jeff Samardzija taking on the right-handed sinker baller Trevor Cahill. And Jeff Samardzija been throwing great baseball. Coverage begins on NBC Sports Bay Area at 12:30 with Giants pregame live.
And the pitching change for the Giants when it's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. And there's Hunter Strickland to take over for Bumgarner here in the 8th in a tie game.
38th game for Hunter Strickland. ERA under 2 now, 1.97, averaging over a strikeout an inning. Last night he came in and really showed a good curveball.
He struck out Eric Ibar looking at a curveball.
And you're not thinking about curveballs when you step in that batter's box against Strickland. You're thinking about high 90s gas.
Manuel Margot, the leadoff man. He's 0 for 3 in the game. And it curves him. Strike one called.
Good pitch. And for the most part, his breaking ball was a slider. Now this curveball is a new look for him. And nobody knows he even has it.
The left-handed hitting Aswahe is on deck. Then Myers due up third. A ball and a strike now. 3 runs on only 4 hits for the Padres. Bumgarner pitched a 4-hitter for 7. It's just that 2 of those 4 hits were home runs. 1 with a man aboard. Foul tip. 1-2.
Yeah, you don't want to make it a habit to miss a breaking ball up around the letters on a guy's chest. That was just a big league hanger he got away with.
Margot hitting .263 in his rookie season.
Posey really slowing it down. He wants to throw him another curveball.
And he got a piece of it. 1-2.
That's maybe the most curveballs he's ever thrown one hitter in the history of his career.
And we were here to see it. Josh Osich, another Giants young reliever, a left-hander, who throws very hard. And he's been throwing an outstanding curveball this year.
And changeup. 4 good pitches. And you would expect Mark Gardner, who's down that bullpen, he had a great curveball as a pitcher. And he's taught these guys that pitch.
Blew him away. Fastball to 97 and 1 away.
So kind of pitching him backwards. A lot of off-speed stuff early in the count. Then he gets him to a 2-strike, and then he just blows 97 right through him. Reach back and just go country hardball. And Margot's a good fastball hitter. He's not usually late. He was tardy on that one.
So now another young Padre, Carlos Aswahe. Aswahe has struck out, walked. His walk in the 4th inning was a big one. It started a 2-run rally. Grounded out to second his last time. 1 ball and no strikes. Since he was brought back from El Paso, coming into play tonight, hitting .327 here in the big leagues. He had a 3-hit game against Cleveland. And that is a hit, his first of the night. So here comes Will Myers, and this is where every pitch can have the game hanging in the balance with a guy like Myers up.
Giants are going to back up the defense and go doubles defense. Swahe with good speed. Giants are going to attempt to cut off a gapper should one be hit.
Myers has had 5 previous plate appearances against Strickland. 0 for 3 with a couple of walks. And that small sampling. That is foul. Kind of breaking ball. As you pointed out earlier, was in a dangerous spot.
And he's had problems with curveballs. I mean, you know, that's kind of been his Achilles heel. This right here is a get it in first pitch curveball. Man, he's thinking I'm going to get a strike off this thing. That had 0 location to it. It was right over there on a tee. But he did get the one thing he was looking for, and that was strike 1.
Now Swahe at first, 1 out, and he's back to the bag. Johnny Washington, first base coach for the Pods. Myers had a real breakthrough year last season. Hit 28 home runs. 1-1. He had 28 homers and he stole 28 bases last year. And he became a very dependable first baseman too. Will Myers. He's still only 26 years old. He's been around in the big leagues for a while now. And you would think he would be older than that. Still a young guy. And he powered it right by him at 97.
And set it up with a couple breaking balls. Kind of get put to sleep by off-speed stuff, and all of a sudden, here comes 97 across your letters. That's not an easy one to keep your top hand on. You can keep climbing the ladder.
3-3 the score. 1 on, 1 out. Well, he went still higher and a check swing. Tom Woodring says no swing there. On appeal, 2-2. He did just what you thought, Mike.
Yeah, definitely a no swing. It's not an easy take.
But he did take it.
Took all of his strength.
So what do you do now?
Well, I mean, he's got a pitch to play with here, so he could try and bounce a curveball. He could keep climbing the ladder with a fastball. Posey wants a slider. Does not have to throw a strike with it.
And he took it. Did Myers.
But now you do. Now you got to get in the strike zone. And in all likelihood, Padres are going to start Aswahi at first.
Pirela, the cleanup hitter, is on deck. A right-handed batter. 3-2 the count. Darkness settling in over the city of San Diego after a twilight start. Aswahi goes, and it's a foul to the screen, and Aswahi will have to turn around and come back. Padres closer Brandon Bauer warming up in the home bullpen out beyond center field. There he is.
Oh, he's going to pitch ninth inning no matter what. Whether it's tied or the Padres take a lead.
Belt on the bag at first with Aswahi. The third baseman, Nunez, is close to the foul line behind the bag. The runner goes. And the pitch was called ball 4. So great throw by Buster Posey, but it was on a walk.
Well, they didn't give in to him. They stayed with a breaking ball. They have that defined as a weakness. I mean, that did not miss by much, but Posey from the knees with an absolute P-rod. That would have been a double play had they have gotten the call. Posey did the smart thing. I mean, he walked away from Jim Reynolds, plate umpire. I mean, he was not happy with the call. You know, when you throw a pitch like that, too, if you're Hunter Strickland, you're wondering, how could the guy take that pitch at a 2-strike? That was close.
Well,
take a look at how close was it. I mean, that is just off the plate a couple inches. But the Padres get a free 90 feet. Now they have runner in scoring position.
You saw Dave Righetti on the phone to the bullpen. Giants will get some more action going out there. The right-handed hitting cleanup man, Pirela. 1 for 3 in the game. Another right-handed hitter on deck, Jabari Blash. There is Stephen Okert. Oh, I beg your pardon. Pirela was taken out of the game. I just never wrote it in my scorebook. This is Alan Cordoba pinch hitting for the pitcher, Brad Hand, in the cleanup spot. 1-1. So Cordoba, the Rule 5 draftee, one of several the Padres have, hitting .231 with 3 home runs. 3 for 17 as a pinch hitter so far this year. 2 men on, 1 man out, and a pop-up that will drift back into the seats.
Got a man making a play. All right, didn't bring his glove, but when you got soft hands, kinda, you don't need it.
And you're a foot taller than everybody around you.
It helps to be 7'1". No doubt about it.
So, not just a Giants fan, but a Giant. 1-2 down to Cordoba. Blash is on deck. Aswahe at second, Myers at first. Both fast runners. And that straightens him up. Fastball up and in. Strickland in relief of Bumgarner. This is only the second time in the game the Padres have had a hitter up there with a runner in scoring position. That's a double play ball. Crawford to second, panic to first. Inning over. And we head to the 9th inning. It is 3-3. Hour. Greg Papa, Ray Ratto, and Kelly Johnson bring you the happy hour weekdays on NBC Sports Bay Area. Also available to listen live and as a podcast at NBCSportsBayArea.com. It is Giants 3, Padres 3. And we move to the 9th inning. The Padres go to their bullpen again for the closer, Brandon Maurer. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change tune-up and repair experts.
Maurer, the closer, coming in mid to high 90s with a fastball. He's got a good hard slider and a changeup. You're going to see more sliders and changeups, but he does not Jimmy Jack around. He will come at you, and he likes that fastball.
Spangenberg and Gorkis is 0 for 4 tonight. And now Connor Gillespie heads to the plate as the pinch hitter for Hunter Strickland. Strickland, a scoreless inning in relief of Bumgarner. Although he was living dangerously, the Padres got a couple of men on. But he got the pinch hitter Cordoba to ground into an inning-ending double play. So Gillespie. 3 infielders to the right of second. Called a strike. Here's Strickland, 19 pitches, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. One double play ball induced. The Giants have Guerin, the right-hander, and Dyson, the right-hander, both up in the bullpen.
Padres put the shift on. You know, Gillespie has got the bat control to be able to take advantage of the shift put on by the defense. I do think he looks to drive the ball to his pull side of the field early in the count.
He has not hit a home run this year. He hadn't had that many at bats in the big leagues this year. There's Will Myers, and Gillespie is out number 2. Now Denard Span must be 2 for 16 as a pinch hitter in the big leagues this year. Last year he had a long dry spell as a pinch hitter, and then Matt Duffy got hurt, and Gillespie got in there and started playing on a regular basis for a while, and then he got hot. And the same thing at the tail end of the season. Nunez injured his hamstring. He was placed on the disabled list. Gillespie got hot again and stayed hot right through the one-game winner-take-all wild card playoff when he hit the big 3-run homer in the 9th inning against Familia, the Mets closer at the time. This year, there have been some times where Nunez has been hurt, but Gillespie has been hurt at the same time. Ball 1 to Denard Span, who's 1 for 4 in the game. He hit a double back in the 2nd inning. He roped one into the right field corner in the 2nd. Now it's 1-1.
That's such a quality 1-0 pitch. Tight little slider just tucks in that outside corner. That pitch right there really elevated Bauer and his ability to pitch.
Here's Caesar, and the Giants go down quietly. The Padres have Blash, Ibar, Sanchez due up.
For Esurance Giants Postgame Live, highlights, reaction, and analysis, and it's all coming up for a full hour right after the game.
Giants 3, Padres 3, as we go to the last half of the 9th inning. And here is Corey Guerin in for the Giants bullpen to try and send this one into extra innings.
37th time that Corey Guerin has come into a game. ERA at 2.08. I mean, really great numbers for Guerin with the exception of the walk total. But that came mostly early in the year. I mean, his mechanics lately have been very good. When he's right, you're going to see Low 90s fastball from a high sidearm delivery, sweeping breaking ball, and an occasional changeup. The big swing of the bat tonight for the Padres was in the 4th inning off a breaking ball that sort of hung out in the middle of the strike zone on a 2-strike count. Blash takes on the center field, and he clears the wall easily. Second home run of the year.
He hit that high back wall. Statcast at 427 feet. Blash flied out deep to center his last time. 1 ball and no strikes.
I'm talking to Corey Guerin today. In his career, he's never had a professional start. Came out of Mercer College, and I asked him, "Did you start there?" He goes, "No. I was a bullpen guy there too." He says, "My delivery it really is more suited for the bullpen than in a starting role."
Slider, and it's 1-1. Corey Guerin, who got married in the offseason. In fact, it wasn't even the offseason. He got married on an off day during this season. That is in there with a fastball. Well, he threw that slider in there that got him swinging and missing, then came right back with a fastball, and he didn't swing at all.
Well, just backdoor movement with two-seam at 94. And that really is what's special about Corey Guerin, and the fact that he can get that kind of velocity from a high sidearm. Not many guys can do that.
1-2. He faced Blash last night, ended up walking him in the 5th inning of the game. Blash is a hot hitter right now. He came back to the minor leagues last night, had 2 hits and a walk. He hit the big home run tonight against Bumgarner. 3-3, last of the 9th. Off the end of the bat, and that's a base hit.
Just like you call a little breaking ball or a middle plate, catches it off the end of the bat. Not a whole lot that Marquis Hernandez could do. I mean, he was playing deep. He comes in as good as any outfielder the Giants have. And that's going to be it for Guerin.
A couple of switch hitters coming up. Ibar and then Hector Sanchez, and the left-hander Oakland will be summoned from the bullpen. A runner at first, nobody out. We'll be right back. Tomorrow at 1:40 first pitch. TV time 1:30 here on NBC Sports Bay Area, with the hour-long pregame live starting at 12:30. This season, Giants games are available to stream live on the NBC Sports app as well. For up-to-the-minute Giants news, log on to NBCSportsBayArea.com for insider Alex Pavlovich. Great reporter, and he's got all the info. He's a great read. Stephen Okert, Mike.
30th time he's come into a game. Okert with 14 strikeouts against 7 walks and 18 2/3. And he'll give you a low 3/4 with a little crossover step. Bunt situation here for the Padres. The Giants will defend against it.
He's not bunting. Ball 1. Interesting. With Hector Sanchez up next.
Padres have 2 guys on the bench, and one they don't want to use. Austin Hedges got a little dinged last night taking a foul ball on the mask. So really they only have 1. So the way that Ibar swung the bat in the series, I think they just want to see him swing the bat.
Ibar, who had a single and a double last night, and he's hitless tonight, but he did make a very hard out, a line drive to center in the 4th that was caught by a sliding Denard Span. A very nice play. Now he shows bunt. Buster Posey, and the runner has been moved up. So Hector Sanchez to the plate. With Matt Caesar, a right-handed hitter on deck. George Contos is up in the Giants bullpen meanwhile. There's George. So Hector Sanchez has a chance here to beat his old team. This is the at-bat he's been looking forward to for a while.
Oh, you better believe it.
That is hit a mile. This ball game is over. Off the facing of the upper balcony. And Hector will savor this one.
For Okert, he wants to get strike 1, and Hector Sanchez says, I'm looking middle in, just above the knee, and that's what he gets. And look at where this one lands. Facing of the upper deck in the Western Metal Supply Company. And for a guy playing against his old team, you bet that feels good.
Off his bat at 107 miles per hour. A tape measure home run against his old team for Hector Sanchez. 5-3, the Padres beat the Giants in a walk-off. Now, stay tuned for the Esurance Giants post-game live, which starts right now.
How much time we got?